And then just moving on to your solo stuff then, because I think it was in about 1990, wasn't it? You decided to leave Foreigner. You'd had solo record out before that. I mean, what was it that prompted your decision at that point to decide that it was time for you to go solo and to do your own thing?
It was a couple of things. It was mostly because I didn't like the direction that the band had been going for the last couple of albums. Uh, Mick seemed to be incredibly enamored with all the new keyboards that had been coming out, and he heard all the great keyboard players, the rock keyboard players, using new sounds and stuff like that, and he went out and bought all the modern new keyboards and would stay up nights playing with the sounds, and thereby the songs he wrote were keyboard songs, and we would learn them, and I would sing them and this and that, and at the 11th hour he would put a little guitar part on it, but most of the album was based around keyboards, and I told him face to face. I says we're going to lose our rock audience. He says because although this has a rock beat and such and such, being a keyboard song does not sit well with fans who began following Foreigner as a guitar driven rock band. Not only do they not care for the keyboards, but a lot of the keyboard songs were ballads. After we had the hit with Waiting for a Girl Like You, next album was I Want to Know What Love Is. Next album after that was I Don't Want to Live Without You. And those albums were laced with ballads or mid-tempo songs that could pass for ballads. And I started to dislike being involved in the band. We would do live shows, and we would start out with the first, second, and third albums and have the place rocking, and three-quarters of the way through the set, they'd be falling asleep, or you could sense the restlessness because they just weren't that interested, even though the songs were modest hits. That's not what the crowd came for. And after one of the tours, Mick decided to take a break. He was frazzled, so he and his wife went for a worldwide cruise. It took over 6 months.
Well,
Okay, and I can remember Dennis saying, we should be working on a new album. What are we supposed to do while you take the cruise? And he says, relax. He says, just relax and enjoy yourselves. And I'm thinking to myself, I am going to enjoy myself. And all the songs that I had started to write or had written already, saving them up for a rainy day. And I'll give you an example. My bass player, Bruce Turgan, also played really good rhythm guitar. And he helped me with the chords on Midnight Blue
ah,
to get them to sound as good as they did. And while I had that earmarked for my solo album, Foreigner was getting ready to do an album. And I asked Bruce to come in with me. That's before Bruce was the bass player in Foreigner. I asked him to come in with me and help me play that song for Mick as an idea for the new album. So he had his acoustic guitar, he played the chords, and I sang a verse and a chorus. And the rest of the guys in the band are going like this. And Mick's going, oh, he goes, pretty good. He goes, let me see the guitar. And so Bruce gave him the guitar, and he tried to figure out the chords and the voicings. And you could see he was getting frustrated. And Bruce took the guitar and showed him the fingering and stuff like that. That didn't help the situation. That got him enraged. Somebody was showing him. And he goes, well, he says, it's pretty good. He says, let's forget that though. And I'm thinking to myself, let's forget that. And I says, okay. And so after whatever the Foreigner album was that came out after that's when he took his cruise. And I had enough songs to do my own album. And I went to Atlantic with demos and told them that I wanted to do my own album. Mick was going to be gone for almost a year. I wanted to do my own album. These are the songs I plan on recording. Can you give me a budget and let me get started? And they did, and I did. And my album came out, and I was opening for Steve Miller on a tour.
Yep.
Okay. After about the third week that I was on tour with Steve, after my set, I was in the dressing room, and somebody said, "Lou, telephone call for you," and it was Mick. He goes, "Lou, how's things?" I says, "Things are great, Mick. How was your voyage?" He says, "It was great." He says, "It was really restful. It did a lot." He says, "But he says, I'm all nerved up again." I says, "Why?" He says, "As soon as I go," he says, "you go out and do your own thing." I says, "I'm still a member of Foreigner." I says, "I didn't want to sit around doing nothing. I had songs. I wanted to do them in a way that I saw fit and release them on Atlantic, our label, so that I, as a songwriter and an artist, could grow outside of Foreigner." I says, "Is that wrong?" And he wouldn't answer me. He says, "Well," he says, "if you want to be a part of this band, you better drop your part of the tour and come back. We're starting to record." So I did. So I did, and that was the album that I had little to no input in as a songwriter. That wasn't Agent Provocateur. That was inside information. If you look on the credits of the album, I think I'm in on about 2 or 3 out of 10 songs. That's why when the next album started, I didn't want to write with them. I didn't want to do anything. I said, "You do the songs." I said, "I'll sing them." And you know what? When I sang the songs, I'd sing them one time through, and I put my jacket on. He says, "Where are you going?" I says, "I sang it. I'm done. I'm going home." Because usually he'd put me through the hoops. He'd make me sing it about 25 or 30 times. And every time I'd sing it, he'd want me to change something and sing it this way. "Luke, can you sing it that way? How about singing it like this?" And I says, "Mick," I says, "why don't you sing it?" I says, I'm not here for you to play with the melodies. Play with the melodies yourself. And when you have one you like, then I'll sing it. I said, "I'm not here to be your music box, you know?" So that's when things started to get bad, and it was irreparable after that. Very shortly thereafter, the group broke up, or I left the band.